Yo, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to another hacking tutorial. My name is Chris, according to a serial box decoder ring I recently got. And today we're going to be going over the Mr. Robot Capture the Flag. It is an awesome little CTF. Got a little bit of everything from web-based reconnaissance, a little web hacking, over to a reverse shell, all sorts of fun stuff. I don't want to ruin too much. But if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. We are dropping a whole lot of new stuff. I am picking up the pace more now. A whole lot of new videos are coming up soon, so don't want you to miss it. So consider subscribing. And if you enjoy this at any point, hit that like button. Let me know down below in the comments what you want to see next, how we can improve, and where we should go from here. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the box and see what we got. All right, here we are. Mr. Robot Capture the Flag. First things first, let's copy the address right now. I will always forget that. Let's jump in here. All right, so first thing with all of these CTFs, first thing I like to do is run nmap, right? Let's see what ports are open. We can do just a simple script commands. And let's see the version and verboseness of it all, and then throw in our IP address. All right, well, let's just run for a second. Let's see what we got. All right, while nmap runs, in order to save some time, I'm going to jump in and assume that we are dealing with some sort of web-based application, right? Like almost all of these have some sort of web to it component. So while it's going around and doing its port scan, it doesn't hurt to just throw this in, see if there's any, HTTP, HTTPS. It looks like we do have HTTP, so maybe some port 80 action, right? Connection's not secure, that way we know it's not HTTPS on port 443, it's HTTP on port 80. Good thing, pro tip, learn your ports, at least the important ones. And this is pretty cool, so we have some sort of little boot system, a little login. Cool. Hello, friend. If you've come for a reason. You may not be able to explain it yet, but there's a part of you that's exhausted with this world. A world that decides where you work, who you see, and how you empty and fill your depressing bank account. Mostly empty. There's not a whole lot of filling going on, trust me. Even the internet connection you're using to read this is costing you, slowly chipping away at your existence. There are things you want to say. Soon I will give you a voice. Today, your education begins. Please know, the last thing I need is to go back to college or any schooling. I am burnt out from it. All right, commands. Prepare. All right, is there an ls command? No, command not recognized. Is there a who am I command? No, command not recognized. So it looks like we are limited to these commands up here. Prepare. All right, looks like it's going to load up a video.
Owned by your job, owned by the 1% of the 1%.
Alright, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit and save this. Whoops, not that far ahead.
We are a society.
Alright, let's just refresh this, get back out of it. So pretty much just to save you guys and myself the thing. All those commands are just gonna take you to another video. It's pretty cool though. Now, while we do our nmap came back. Sweet. Alright, so we got SSH on port 22. It is closed. We have port 80, which is what we're on right now. That's HTTP on an Apache server. Usually, if I see Apache in my brain, I'm already thinking, okay, it's probably running on a Linux server in the background. So that's good to know. There is 443, which is the HTTP, which is, the secure version of, or HTTPS, I should say, which is, HTTP secure. Nothing crazy. Okay. So let's just run GoBuster. Let's clear this out. Nothing too important there. Usually I recommend taking notes and all sorts of stuff like that if you're doing, especially like bug bounty stuff, any stuff of that sort. But for now, we're just going to run with it. GoBuster. I like running GoBuster over DirBuster. I think GoBuster's a little, I don't know, just gives you like a little bit more, I feel. It could also run like FUF and stuff like that, but GoBuster's fine for these smaller CTFs. So you got to say dir because they're looking for directory mode. I believe you got to put TACU, and then for URL, TCP, blah, blah. Let's put our IP address. Then we got to pass it a word list. So you got to put -w, and then let's give it user, share, word list. And these word lists come standard with Kali Linux. So if you have Kali, like these word lists come standard. GoBuster comes standard. All this is pretty standard with Kali. All right, so we're going to do word lists. This is where I always forget. Is it DirBuster directory? Directory list. I believe it's 2.3 medium text. Okay, there we go. Oh man, I actually remembered it. So let's run this. All right, so now what GoBuster is going to do is it's going to go through that list and it's going to enumerate directories. I don't think it does recursive. Um, I think Fuff may do recursive, but for these smaller, easier CTFs, you don't have to worry so much about recursive. We're getting some stuff back. There is some sort of blog, a login. All right, so all this is pretty interesting. First things first, pro tip. Whenever you come across any sort of website and you're doing any type of reconnaissance, first thing you should do, well, second thing, I like to like look at the main page, but second thing you should do is check out the robots.txt. So for those that don't know, robots.txt, right? So it's simply that in right there, / robots.txt. For those that don't know, okay, and it has one. Okay, perfect. So robots.txt is how the web developers, it's a text file that allows the web developers to specify certain domains and files to not be indexed by web crawlers. Web crawlers such as Google, um, other web crawlers such as Google, and then you have other web crawlers like Google, because no one uses Bing. Let's be honest. But no, seriously, like Bing, Google, Yahoo, all these web crawlers, they won't index whatever is here. You can actually specify it as well further within here, and right, you can actually specify it. So in this case, it says user agent, all user agents, basically. Yeah. But you can specify it for certain user agents because certain web crawlers come with obviously different user agents. There's more web crawlers, not just the Google and Bing ones. But they can actually specify like, I don't want this web crawler to index this. I don't want this web crawler to index this. But usually, if they don't want it indexed, that is something that I want to know why. Why do you not want it indexed? Right off the bat, we can see there is a key 1 of 3.txt. That may be something of interest. Let's open up another tab. And we can just curl it. Let's curl http : // throw this in, and then it is key 1 of 3.txt. Little curl function, and boom, that is our first key. Awesome. Cool. Easy enough. Let's copy that. All right, and now we have our first key set. Sweet, we got the correct answer in, of course. And now let's jump into it again. All right, so that's the first thing. I want to know what the second one is. It says F City. I think that's a typo. I think they meant to put F Society, but we'll do F City. Let's just copy that. We could open it in a new tab. Now I'll just copy it. Let's just see what it looks like. All right, so we'll curl that. It looks like it is a massive dictionary of some sort. I'm actually just going to pause that for a second. All right. Yeah, it looks like it's from what we're seeing so far. It looks like it's a large dictionary of some kind. Okay, that may be useful later. That may be something we can use. Let's actually let me clear this out. All right, cool. Let's wget it. Let's download it. So we'll say wget thing http. Let me just copy our URL once again. I could set this as a. I should set it as a pain. Existence is pain. I should set this as a variable to use, but I open so many tabs that I have to just keep setting it all the time, so it's fine. Let's do it like this. Let's wget it, and let's actually name this. I guess we'll just name it that. City.dic, right? That should be fine. How large is this file? All right, well, that's downloading. Let's look and see if we got anything interesting off of GoBuster. Okay, there is a WordPress login that may be of interest. There's a /admin that's always awesome to look at. Yeah, it looks like we have more WordPress. Some image file. I imagine this image directory is probably where they keep some just, the videos and stuff that we've been seeing. Or some of the videos they use in it. Feed. Oh, well, the video directory would probably do that. Let's take a look at this admin. Let's jump in there. /admin. Let's see if that takes us anywhere. Just finished downloading. Yep. 6.91 megabytes. All right. It's taking us to an admin. Let me inspect the element really quick. Yeah, it looks like it's constantly trying to redirect us. So I don't think that's going to be a viable. Yeah, that's fine. Let's try the login instead. It looks like it's like trying to redirect. Let's just go to login instead. And we're having similar issues there. Okay, that's taking us to the WordPress login. Okay, and it's running PHP. That's something important to note as well. For those that don't know, there are a lot of WordPress vulnerabilities involving PHP and with file uploads to get reverse shells. So that's something that, like, every time I see not just PHP, but every time I see a WordPress page, I always think of like, is there some sort of file vulnerability, something, file upload to your reverse shell? Let's try something here. Let's try admin and pass. I'm just gonna put admin and pass, or admin and admin, because I believe I don't use WordPress personally, but if I'm not mistaken, I think the defaults for WordPress when you first get it is admin and admin. I think. Let's try logging in. Okay, so this is interesting. So we got an invalid username prompt. Now, why that's so interesting is because it's letting us know essentially that whatever username we tried is invalid, not the password, the username. Um, for those, if anyone's into web development, don't do that. You should always say invalid username or password, or invalid username, and or password, or something like that. Because if I ever see something where it says invalid username or invalid password, if it says invalid password, that means I got the username right, but the password's wrong. If I get invalid username, I know that it whatever query went through here was the SQL query or whatever database type they're using. It's checking the username first, and then if the username doesn't match anything in their database, it's not even like using the password, checking the password. It's only checking that, and it's returning this. So we can brute force essentially two stages. We can brute force the username, and then brute force the password afterwards. Let me check if GoBuster still. I think we can. I think we can probably cancel. I think we got what we need. I don't think anything here is too crazy. There may be some sort of JavaScript here, but I think that may be a little bit outside of the purview for what this for the difficulty of this CTF. There's a 0 as well. Sorry, whenever I see zeros, I think of an IDOR. Just to be able to just change the numerical value, but that's fine. All right, so looking at this and then seeing the let's see what the top of that file looks like. Let's head that dictionary. Whoops. Oh, it saved as. Oh, it's right, because whoops, that's what we did. That's my bad. Yeah, because it was automatically going to save as this. So when we piped it to this other one, it saved as that. That's fine. We'll just use the dot one. I'll just change it really quick because it will drive me crazy. All right, let's just remove that one and then change the other one. Let's change that to. So now let's head the dictionary that we just got. Interesting. So true, false, wiki from. Okay, so these look a lot like directories. Let's tail it. So head's gonna give us the first 10 lines of the dictionary because it's 7 MB. The last thing I need is to cat it and just have this thing scrolling forever. So head is gonna give us the first 10. Tail's gonna give us the bottom 10. The bottom 10 look more like passwords. So I think there may be some merit to using this in terms of maybe usernames, something like psychedelic, I am learn, you hack, I'm hack. Okay, so there may be some merit behind using this. Couple ways we can do it. We could use Hydra. Hydra does get a little finicky, unfortunately, when it comes to websites. So we're gonna skip that, and I'm actually gonna use Burp. I've been doing more like web-based hacking lately, so I've been like on that Burp grind. I've been doing like more of trying to get more into like bug bounties and stuff like that. So I've been using a lot of Burp. I'll hopefully be able to upgrade to the Pro Edition, but for now, I mean, the Community Edition does 90% of what the Pro does. It just does it slower, unfortunately. All right, so our intercept is on. We got to make sure our Foxy proxy's on. Turn that on. And if you guys do want any, basic intro beginner's guide to Burp Suite, let me know in the comments down below. That is something I am planning on doing down the road, so just let me know. All right, so username, just type in whatever user password. I just put pass for now. Our intercept is on. Yes, correct. And then login. Cool. So now this is intercepting the request, right? We can see it's a post request, which means you're posting something to the website. I can see here this is the login, I guess, banner, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yeah, so it'll be this is important. If you are using, by the way, if you are using Hydra, make sure that you have this included whenever you're doing your thing. Actually, let me give you guys, let me increase the font size. Make that a little better. There we go. Oh, that's for the interface. And then let me change this. Make that a little larger as well. All right, there you go. Hopefully you guys can see that better. Perfect. So yeah, so this is the request header essentially that you'd be submitting when if you're doing Hydra. And we've done Hydra in our other video somewhere around there. If you want to look at how the Hydra version is, but we're gonna do Burp because it's just easier. All right, so let's forward this, send this over to the intruder. All right, so right click, send to intruder, go to intruder. Perfect. Now all these green areas right now that we see, those are the fuzz parameters, but we don't need all of those to fuzz, so we're going to clear it. The only thing I'm looking into fuzzing right now is the user. All right, so we're going to add this parameter. Cool. So we got it there. We're going to go to payloads. And now here we're going to load in that city.dic. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so there's the big file. So we're going to start our attack. Or we're going to keep everything the same. Just start attack. Like 858,160 is the payload count. This is basically telling us that some functionality is disabled and time throttled because we're using Burp Pro Poor Man Edition. All right, so if you are using Burp as a brute forcer, two things you want to pay attention to: the status code and the length. In this case, everything is coming back with a 200 because the request that we're making is a valid request. It's just unfortunately coming back with the invalid username error. But it's coming back. Like it's not an invalid request. We're not getting an internal server error, which are the 500s. We're not getting a client side error, which are the 400s. We're not getting a redirect or anything like that. So it's a valid request. So it looks like everything's going to come back with a 200 unless we have some weird characters. Like if we're doing some type of SQL injection, then you may come up with a different status code. So if everything's coming back with a 200 status code, now that means I want to focus on length. So I see everything is coming back here with a length of 4069, right? That means, oh, except something is here. Oh, see, so there's already one variable that's an outlier here. So let's change that. Anything with a different length is something I want to look at. In this case, it's Elliot, which is kind of fitting if you've ever seen Mr. Robot, the show. It's kind of fitting. So let's click on Elliot and let's look. Now, we take this. It's still a post request. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now let's, cool. So this is the request, Elliot, pass, cool. Let's see what the response is. We click on response. We scroll down. Let's see if there's any difference here from the other one. Scrolling down. All right, here we go. We got a login error. Okay, similar to the other one. But in this case, it says the password you enter for the username Elliot is incorrect. So now we know that there is a username named Elliot. Elliot is a valid username. Cool. If we want to see this, we can show response in browser, right? Copy. Make sure we can close this out. We don't need to continue the attack. I think we're good with that. Let's turn off the intercept. Cool. Paste and go. Continue. All right, I go through. That's fine. We'll do it manually. Let's enter Elliot. Right, it was 1T. I always forget this. I want to say it was 1T. Let me go back to the intruder. Yeah, Elliot with 1T. Okay. Cool. And then for password, doesn't matter. We'll just put whatever. Log in. Cool. So now we see it. Yeah, the password you entered for the username Elliot is incorrect, right? So that's similar as what we saw in the HTML response. Okay, perfect. But we have a username. So now let's do the same thing, and now we brute force the password. So we go back to burp. We can go back to the intruder, back to our positions. But in this time, we're gonna change the log from user to Elliot. So we're gonna hard code that in, and now I want to fuzz the password parameter. I'm gonna add that there. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Go to payloads. All right, and then let's try the same one because we did see some passwords coming down. Way down. Okay, these look a lot. I don't see. Okay. So the password. It looks like the passwords are more toward the bottom. So because we're using the burp poor man edition, I'm gonna flip these around and run it the other way. Now I do want to save us a little bit of headache here. And after running this for a while, turns out the password is toward the very bottom of the file. As we saw earlier, most of the passwords seem to be toward the bottom, so that's fine. We know cat is a method used to show us the list of the list essentially in whatever, show us, display out any file. If you use tac, which is cat backwards, it'll actually do that in reverse. So we can do tac, right, the dictionary, and then we can actually take that output and we can do it to let's say the dictionary. We'll do fcity reverse, right? Boom. And then now when we head the reverse one. Now we can see that the passwords are now at the top. So pro tip, if you have a giant file, like Rocky or whatever, and you want to flip it, that's an easy method to do it. Cat will display it onto your screen. Tac will do it in reverse. So now that we have that, let's go back and try this again. So let's go and let's clear this, and let's load the new one. That's the city reverse. Awesome. See, so now we can see that a lot of these passwords that we had are now toward the top. All right, and now let's start attack again. Now this time, remember, we are fuzzing the password, not the username. We're using Elliot as the default username, and we're fuzzing the password. So same thing. Everything's coming back with status 200. There is one status 302, and that's cool. So we have a status 302, which is a redirect, and then we also have it of a different length than everything else, which means that this should be the password, because whenever you have a proper login, it'll then redirect you to whatever the main page is, your main login page. So let's actually see this here. All right, so it's login.php. All right, cool. Let's see what the response is. Yep, and it sends us to the home page. Awesome. So we can stop that. Let's show response in browser. We can pause that. Let's try this. Oh, we gotta stop the make sure the proxy. Okay, proxy is off. Cool, the intercept's off, I should say. All right, paste and go. No, that's right. It doesn't let us redirect there, so that's fine. We'll just manually enter it. It's Elliot, and what is the password again? Request ER28-0652. I don't know what that's a reference to. I'm sure it's something that went over my head. We'll paste that in. Log in. And no whammy. All right, cool. So we are here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Howdy, Elliot Anderson. Okay, cool. So that is who we are, Elliot Anderson. Edit my profile. All right, email Elliot at mrrobot.com. Cool. Cool. So we have access to this account. Now, I'm not as familiar with WordPress. I don't use it. Um, I'm kind of just like clicking around here, just seeing what seems different. It is run on PHP, so that is something to know. I know there are a lot of PHP reverse shells. I actually have one saved on here that we may be able to use. Let's see. Elliot, Krista Gordon. Okay, so we are admin. Okay, that's awesome. Cool. So we have access to this application, this web application, right? This WordPress. But what we want to gain access to is the server or the system running it in the background. Now we have seen. I could probably just throw Wappalizer on here really quick to see. Yeah, it's PHP, WordPress. Um, it is running MySQL. Cool. But I don't think there's any SQL injections in this state. Weird. But if you are interested in SQL injections, I do have a video. Plug in again, shameless plugs. I do have a video on SQL injection. It's a really good beginner tutorial on the channel. So check it out if you are interested in SQL injections. Okay, cool. Yeah, Apache, means it's most likely running on some sort of Linux based, probably Ubuntu, like everything else. Okay, cool. Wappalizer, by the way, it's a really cool Firefox extension, especially if you're doing any web-based hacking, any penetration testing, bug bounties. I definitely recommend it. Okay, so now with this, one big flaw that because we are admin, so we can essentially change this to how we want. So one big thing that comes to mind whenever I see PHP and WordPress is how do I get a reverse shell with a file upload? That's something we've seen on a lot of other capture the flags and on WordPresses in general, especially when they're running PHP, maybe some new. We could go in, we can look in Metasploit or look up any vulnerabilities, but let's try to do this in a more manual way, I guess. So first thing that comes to mind is a reverse shell. Let's see, reverse shell PHP, and it's Pentest Monkey, I believe, has one that's really good. Yes, awesome. I believe it's this one. Let's see. Yeah. So this is written in PHP. It's written in PHP, and it's basically a tool uh, that allows you to essentially, create you can run this in the PHP of WordPress, for example, and it'll create a reverse shell for you. Really cool thing. So let's copy this over. Let's get the raw really quick. I'm gonna Control A. I'm gonna copy all this, and I'm gonna open this in Sublime. You can open it on whatever text editor tickles your fancy. All right, we'll just say reverse shell.php. I'm just doing Sublime because it's, this from some bug bounty I was doing earlier. Ignore that. All right. Cool. So here we are. So we have this. All right. And then for this one, all we got to do is change the. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right. So for this, we just got to change the IP address. Right now, it has it as the loopback address 127.0.0.1. Which is your internal loopback address, and port 1234. So let's find out what our address is for this. For this, try hack me. So we just do ifconfig, and we're looking for this one, the tune 0, because we're using the OpenVPN to connect to it. So this is the one that we want. Cool. All right, awesome. I can actually close that. We'll change this to here. And then we'll obviously we have to change the port to 1337. That's like a default hacking port for those that don't know. All right, let's save this as, I thought I saved it. Reverse shell PHP, not under my bug bounties. Excuse me. That's for another video, so stay tuned. We'll just throw it onto here for now. Yeah, should be fine. Let's throw it in there. All right, cool. All right, and then let's open this. Make sure it's there. Yep, there. Here it is. All right, awesome. So now let's open up Netcat. So we're going to do Netcat, and we're going to give it a listening on port 1337. That's the port we designated. All right, so now it's listening. It's waiting for communication. Now, next thing we want to do is see where can we upload this and execute this PHP. So let's look around here. Post, probably not. Could be library media, maybe. Let's see. Select files. Reverse shell PHP. Okay, failed to upload due to an error. Sorry, this file type is not permitted for security reasons. Okay, so it's not going to let us run it here. And that's fine. That's understandable. Because media generally not going to run in PHP, so they can block that. But there are some things, because we know this website is running on PHP. There are some areas, maybe pages, possibly pages. Add a new page. Let's just try hacked. No, this is not going to run. Okay, no. Let's keep clicking around. I'm pretty sure this is just going to run off of like if I do like if I try entering, for example, here a really basic cross-site script here, which there's also a cross-site script video. I know shameless plugs left and right, but I do have a cross-site script video as well. But if I try doing a really simple cross-site script page here, I'm pretty sure this is just gonna take it into, if I view page. Yeah, so it's just gonna sanitize it. It's gonna make it into a string. That's fine. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so let's continue. Let's see appearance. Plugins. Editor. Ah, here we go. Okay, see, so now these, for example, need to run on PHP. They're all PHP based. So 404 template, this is basically what's going to come up if you input for a directory that doesn't exist, right? A client side request error, essentially. You know, we say error 404 when you're like, oh, download more ram.com, but that website doesn't exist, or it does exist. Don't actually download RAM. That's not a real thing. But yeah, so we can actually hijack this because it's going to run on PHP, which is what we need. We're going to hijack this. Let's open this back up. Let's copy all this. All right, let's jump back in here. All right, we deleted it all. Sweet. I'm just going to paste it into here. And then update file. All right, and file edited successfully. Perfect. Okay, so basically we just stole the 404 link and turned it into our reverse shell. So now if we want to go to this, right, we can just put 404.php, for example. We run this, now it's blank because we didn't have actual output in our PHP file or reverse shell. But if we open up our terminal, we can see that we have a reverse shell. It's a very ugly reverse shell. You can see here it just says it's a regular like just bin shell. It's not really like a bash shell. And it says it can't access the TTY, which is fine. We're actually going to try. Let's see if they have Python. Python -- version. Let's see what they're running. Okay, so cool. They do have Python, which means we can input our own shell. And the reason we may want to is because there's a lot of ugliness in terms of this. Like you're not going to be able to do like tab completes. You won't be able to do history requests, and just ease of access. So we can actually first let's see, who am I? Okay, yeah, so just a regular daemon user. So it's Python -c because we're going to input this all in the command terminal, and we're going to import. I believe it's pty. Let me double check that. I have my notes. Yeah, it is pty. Cool. Import pty, and it's going to be pty.spawn. And it's going to be, since we use double quotes here, we got to put single quotes here. And we're going to import a bin bash. And that should be it. Enter. Boom. Okay, so now it's a little better. So now we can see it's getting closer to our normal use one. But we still have the issues in terms of tab complete is not a thing. and in terms of the history is not a thing. So for ease of access, I'm gonna teach you a little tip. So first thing you want to do is you want to background this, right? So we're gonna press Control Z. Right, so we're gonna background it for a second. Right, so now that we've background our reverse shell, next thing we're gonna do is start inputting a nicer terminal for us to use. We're gonna just input this command stty, right, and then we're gonna put raw, and then we're gonna remove the echo. So the raw command is basically gonna tell it input all everything that we input. Don't process it into whatever you want. Just take it as it is, and then we're gonna take away the echo command, so it's just not gonna like echo it back to us. So we're gonna input that. Next thing we're gonna do is foreground again. So we press FG, enter, enter. Right. So foreground FG. It's not gonna show because we took out the echo. Enter, enter. So we're still back with this one, but now we're gonna import our own terminal, or export, I should say. So it's gonna say export, and it's gonna be term equals x term. So it's gonna be the x terminal that we're taking. All right. Now we can do things like clear. Now we can see. You see, I'm going up. I have the history. It's our normal shell again. So pro tip, if you just want to do that, it's personal preference. I just prefer it that way. A little extra, but it's nice. So who am I? All right, we can see right now, Damon. LS. Where are we? Cool. We're in the main directory. Do we have access to anybody? Let's see if anything interesting here. Let's see what's in. Let's see what the home looks like. There's robot. Okay, can we CD to that? Let's try to go into robot. What do you have in here? All right, sweet. We found key 2 of 3. Let's try to cat it. Permission denied. All right, cool. Let's see what kind of permissions it has, and let's list everything out as well. So we use ls-la. ls obviously to list everything. The L argument is going to be for the long version, so it's going to give you all the permissions that every file has in there, and then A to show all the files, even the hidden ones. Which hidden files are just things that start with a dot usually. In this case, the dot is going to be to go up a directory. The dot's this current directory. All right, nothing else crazy here, but let's see. Okay, so this key is owned by Robot, right? Of the group Robot, and only Robot has access to read it. Cool. But there is a password.raw MD5 that can be read by anybody. So let's look at that. Let's see, cat password.raw MD5, and this is the password robot. This. It looks like it is MD5, and if it is MD5, we may be able to crack it. So let's copy it. Let's head over to Crack Station. All right, I'm not a robot. Cool. Let's throw this in here. Oh, let's remove this. I don't know if that was some sort of weird salt that they put in it, but try that. All right, and now we see what the password is. It's the alphabet. All right, that is easy enough. Here, let me zoom in for those that aren't familiar with it. Great little place. MD5, not very secure. Don't use it if you can avoid it. You know, like MD5 was secure in like 1998. Like, you know, it's a little out there. Try to avoid it. All right, so now that we have this, maybe we can change user into robot. So let's go to SU robot. All right, switch user robot. We'll input the password. Enter. All right, now we're robot. Cool. All right, who am I? Robot. Awesome. So now we can cat this. Key 2 of 3. Awesome. Let's copy that over. Copy. In here. Go in our second key. Submit. All right, boom. 2 down. 1 to go. If I were a betting man, I would probably say that key 3 is in the root. All right, so we're going to have to figure out a way to escalate our privileges. One way to do it is looking for any SUID or set owner user something or another. I'm terrible with acronyms. But basically, it's any files that can be ran by other people as admins or root users in this case. So one way we can look for it is simply find, once again, We're going to start from the root directory. This time we're going to look for any permissions, right? Dash perm. And for permissions, when listed previously, we saw that, for example, let me see what we have in here. So if I was to ls the key file that we had before, so it was under home, robot, key. Oh, that's probably a bad example. How about the other one? There we go, that's a better example. So if I was going to ls this one, right, and I was going to list out everything, you see here that you have, it'll be read, write, execute, because this was listed if it's a directory. So it's read, write, execute for the owner, read, write, and execute permissions for people within the owner group, and then read, write, execute permissions for everyone else's here. If you have an SUD file, SUID file, or any or process that runs it, anybody that's not anybody at all or part of its set can run that file or read that file, however, using super user credentials. That's a good thing to use because that can give us a way to escalate our privileges into that super user field. Got it. Really difficult to. Let me just show it to you. Basically, we're going to look once again. We're going to use a find command, starting from the root directory. We're going to look for anything that has permissions equating to 4,000, and then any errors that we get, we're just going to send it to the null directory, which is like the trash can essentially. All right, and now we're starting to get some stuff. But, so anyway, let's look. Let's see what stands out here in terms of anything that's given. So switch user is pretty standard because you are going to use the super user permissions to switch users between accounts. You got some mounting, some ping, the password, nothing too crazy. Sudo, obviously, if you're using sudo, you're running a command with super user permission. But this is a weird one right here, nmap. Now, nmap does not usually need super user to run. So nmap's actually a weird one. And I want to see, let's see what the permissions look like for nmap. So once again, we're going to ls, we're going to run the long one. There we go, local bin nmap. Okay, so basically this S here, this S where there should be an X is telling us that anyone can execute it in with super user permissions. So that's why it's important to look for this, right? If this was just a regular X, it would tell us that only root is able to execute this. But because we see here there's an X for people within the group of root, and more importantly, there's an X here for everyone else. So anyone on the system, including us, can execute nmap. But when we execute nmap, we can execute it with super user permission, or with the permissions of the owner, in this case, root. Right, so when we execute it, we're executing it with the permissions of root, which is really good because for those that don't know, nmap has an interactive mode. And let me look for that. I believe it's just that. Yeah, here it is at the bottom. Yep, go into interactive mode. So this is pretty cool. So if we go to nmap -- interactive, right? So now we're essentially within like a shell of nmap. And now within this shell, we may be able to spawn in our own shell. But because we're spawning in this shell and we're running nmap as root, as a super user, when we spawn in this shell, we actually spawn the shell in as root. And you can tell we're root because of the pound sign, or as some of you younger folks call it, the hashtag. So if I just simply say, who am I? We are root. That's it. That's it, right? This is a game over. Done. Donezo. Bye. That is all we need. Now let's find, let's see, where are we? All right, we're in the main directory. Let's cd into, let's check out, it's a gross shell, but it's our shell and it is what it is. but that's fine. I'm not going to go through the whole hassle of trying to make it pretty because we're just here really quick. So let's go root. All right, let's see what's in here. First boot done and key 3 of 3. So what happens if we cat key, and unfortunately we don't have tab, key 3 of 3, and I type like the slow turtle, and boom, that should be our last one. Let's copy this. Let's jump into here. Don't worry, guys. The machine did not expire. I actually clicked the add time button. So we submit this. Boom. That's it. That's all 3 flags. And we have officially rooted Mr. Robot. So that about does it for that one, guys. We have officially rooted Mr. Robot. It was really fun, basic entry level CTF, but still really fun to do. It does help you brush up on a lot of things. We did start off with simple port reconnaissance. We used Nmap, switched over, did a really basic web reconnaissance. Remember the robots.txt. Always check the robots.txt if you have any web application that you're looking into. From there, we were able to do a simple brute force. We saw what happens when developers misdevelop, I guess, the responses to errors, the error validation responses. So that's something to look out for. If it says something like invalid username, now you know, hey, it's only looking for the username right now. If I brute force this and I find something different, like invalid password, that means that's a valid username, and so on and so on. Same thing if it did invalid password. So something we did. From there, reverse shell with a PHP. We saw simple vulnerability in WordPress, seeing how we can input our own file upload. That's another big thing, file upload vulnerabilities, which is something we'll cover more in Portswigger Academy. They do have some, I believe, as well as some of the Hacker 101 labs, so stay tuned for that. And from there, just privilege escalation from there. So hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. It was fun, was the fun. And if you did enjoy it, don't forget to hit that like button. Let me know down below what you thought, what you want to see next. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We're going to be pumping out a lot more content here in the upcoming weeks. I may be a little quiet the next couple days. I am taking a cert next week, so I'll let you guys know how that is. And I'll break down which cert I took, my study habits for the cert, how it went, and what cert we're looking for in the future. So with that said, hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash the like, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.